Good evening, everybody. This is my job tonight to deliver this devotional, so here we go. When considering what I would say this evening, I wanted to take what obviously is the common theme of a Christmas Eve service. Christmas is when Jesus, our Savior, was born, and add an angle to it. The inspiration for what I was looking for comes from John chapter 1, specifically verse 9, which reads, "The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world." And this is what I'd like to share with you. When I think about Christmas, I realize that I came into the world having nothing to do with my birth. I showed up without planning it. When Jesus came into the world, it was completely voluntary, and it was the most dangerous mission ever undertaken by a baby. He came knowing the battles he would face and knowing the ultimate end of his life on earth would be a week like no week in human history. He came to live, die, and be resurrected in the greatest drama mankind has ever seen. Think about what he walked into with his eyes wide open. Rome was a corrupt government morally and spiritually. Their sins were shamelessly committed in the open. The death of the innocent in the Colosseum was a major form of entertainment. Their emperors wanted to be worshipped, and their gods were lustful, evil creations. Rome spread the darkness of paganism in every place that they had influence. The local ruler in Jerusalem, Herod, was a notorious madman. He was made king by the Roman Senate, which proclaimed him king of Judea. He was installed in his position by the Roman army, which forced him on the people. He wasn't even Jewish. He was an Edomite. Once in power, he immediately killed 45 of the wealthiest citizens and confiscated their property for his own use. He was incurably ill, nearly 70 years old, and insane in Matthew 2 when the Magi came looking for Jesus. While the killing of all the male babies in Bethlehem under 2 years of age shocks us, it was typical of Herod. He had slaughtered his sons and executed his favorite wife. Why wouldn't he kill babies in Bethlehem? Even the good guys, the religious Pharisees, would be enemies of Jesus. His message would unsettle and irritate them until they would finally conspire and bring about his execution in the cruelest way possible, crucifixion. All of that is just to show how dark the world was when Jesus was born in Bethlehem. Between the immoral Romans, wicked Herod, and arrogant religious leaders, it wasn't a place most of us would have chosen to enter. Yet Jesus came into that world voluntarily. It was a wicked world that received the baby in Bethlehem, but because of his willingness to enter our darkness, the angels were able to announce, "Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is Christ the Lord." Christmas means that God was willing to come into a dark place and bring the light of salvation. And because of him, salvation is available to all of us. Robert Robinson was an English clergyman who lived in the 18th century. Not only was he a gifted pastor and preacher, he was also a highly gifted poet and hymn writer. However, after many years in the pastorate, his faith began to wane. He left the ministry and moved to Paris, where he indulged in an ungodly lifestyle. One night, he was riding in a carriage with a Parisian socialite who had recently been converted to Christ. She was interested in his opinion on some poetry she was reading. "Come, thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace, streams of mercy never failing, call for hymns of loudest praise. When she looked up from her reading, the socialite noticed Robinson was crying. "What do I think of it?" he asked in a broken voice. "I wrote it. But now I've drifted away from him and can't find my way back." The woman gently said, "But don't you see? The way back is written right here in the third line of your poem. Streams of mercy never failing. Those streams are flowing even here in Paris tonight." That night, Robinson recommitted his life to Christ. For the wanderers like Robinson, for the religious like Nicodemus the Pharisee, for the Roman collaborators like Matthew the tax collector, and for all of us, salvation has come. Jesus has entered our unlit world to bring the light of salvation to everyone who will believe. This can be the most wonderful Christmas ever for those who realize that streams of mercy are still flowing because of that first Christmas. Thank you very much for allowing me to share this with you, and God bless you all.